seen you carrying all those books around. I figured you for some kind of teacher.
I'm a high-level paid government assassin.
The Equalizer 2 is directed by Antoine Fuqua and stars Denzel Washington as Robert McCall, an ex-CIA agent who now drives for Lyft and spends his downtime reading and, we'll call it, settling scores. There are two things worthy of note here. A, this is not the first time that Antoine and Washington have worked together. Yes, they collaborated on the first Equalizer movie, but they also worked together on The Magnificent Seven and Training Day, for which Washington took home an Oscar for Best Actor. The second thing worthy of note is that this is actually the first sequel that Denzel has ever done. I didn't realize that. When asked why he had never done a sequel before, he said, "I haven't been asked." I'll say the same thing about The Equalizer 2 that I said about The Equalizer. What makes it worth seeing is not that it's a great movie, though it is a really good one. It's that it's so darkly cathartic. I can't count the number of times I've heard of someone doing something so obviously and horrendously evil and wish that there was something that could be done to ensure that the person or persons responsible never did it again. That's what the character of Robert McCall does every day, and as dark as it may seem, there's something terrifically satisfying seeing people who do evil to others getting their comeuppance. While The Equalizer followed a more or less linear storyline, The Equalizer 2 is more anthology-like, with a few stories intertwining. It has the main plot line, which is actually a carryover from the first movie, but along the way there are side missions that sort of keep things moving along while the underlying story develops. As far as main characters go, there are just a handful, but all of them are fantastic. Denzel is Robert McCall, Melissa Leo is Susan Plummer, and Bill Pullman is Brian Plummer. These are all carryovers from the first movie. New additions are Ashton Sanders as Miles Whitaker, Orson Bean as Sam Rubinstein, and one of my favorite actors, Pedro Pascal, as Dave York. I keep wanting to refer to this guy as new, but he was in an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer back in season 4. So he's been around for a while. It's just that he didn't come onto my radar until season 4 of Game of Thrones as Oberyn Martell. The Equalizer 2 is pretty straightforward action fare. The acting is as good as it needs to be, except for Washington, who is superb as always. The action scenes are excellent and again quite cathartic. And the main storyline is good if a little thin, though I have to own up to being surprised by the plot twist. The main plot itself only takes up about 40 minutes of a 2-hour movie. The rest is filled in with the aforementioned side missions, with 2 taking up the lion's share. One follows an older gentleman in his attempts to stay connected to his past, while the other follows a young man in his attempts to not get dragged into the local gang scene. The former is interesting and actually gets obvious closure that tugs at the heartstrings, while the latter could easily be the setup for the Equalizer 3, as it never gets closure and you're left wondering what will happen next. And I really want to know what happens next. I really like The Equalizer, and I also really like The Equalizer 2. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars. If you like movies like John Wick and Taken, you'll like The Equalizer 2. I can't say it's necessarily a theater-worthy flick, but it will definitely end up in my Blu-ray collection. That'll do for today. What are some of your favorite Denzel Washington movies? Personally, I'm a huge fan of Glory, but what has he done that you really like? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you back here next week with my review of Mission Impossible Fallout.